Coming up next, it's an all-new bonus round. The price of games, microtransactions, rentals, episodic content. Are companies charging enough or too much for today's games?
I actually think the price is too low. I think consumers are getting a gift.
How should gamers determine the value of a title?
$60 is not a lot of money for a really good game.
Right.
$60 is a lot of money for a bad game.
And will we see cheaper games in the future?
I think you'll see stratification, but I think that it's really going to be limited to probably 40, 50, and 60.
Hold on to your wallets because it's time for another bonus round.
Hey everybody, welcome to the bonus round where all the biggest names in the video game business get together to talk about the issues that matter most. Today I'm joined by 3 video game experts to talk about the future of video game pricing, how your dollars are going to impact games in the future. And joining me, President of Sierra Online, Ed Zobrist. We've got Sean Spector, the co-founder of Gamefly, online rental service for video games. And back again, third time's the charm, from Michael Pachter, analyst with Wedbush Morgan Securities. All right, so let's get right into it, talking about the price of games. Next-gen games are costing $60 a pop. Michael, is that the right price people should be charging for these games?
I actually think the price is too low. I think consumers are getting a gift from the publishers and from retail at $60. These games cost a ton to make. They're much richer in content than anything we've ever seen. And on an inflation-adjusted basis, they're cheaper than games were 15 years ago. Right. So I think that consumers want more and more and more in all entertainment. I mean, they want bigger explosions in their movies, and they want more star power in their movies. Well, we have no problem watching movie tickets go from 20 years ago, $3 or $4 up to $10 or $12 now. Right. But suddenly, retailers and the publishers have kind of gotten together and kept at that $50 price point until this generation. They go to 60 and consumers complain. I want more content for less money. Not going to happen. I mean, You're seeing salaries go up, you're seeing license fees go up, you're seeing a lot more content in the games. The graphics are incredible. And I think, ultimately consumers are going to accept the price point. If they don't, I think consumers are going to get far fewer choices. You're going to get short games that don't look that good, that aren't that frame breaking. So, if you want the next Halo 3, I think you should be willing to pay $70 for the collector's edition and be glad you got it, because there's going to be a lot in that game. The same with Grand Theft Auto 4. I think the Wii games are an absolute bargain. I mean, Legends of Zelda priced at $50. I think Nintendo left $10 per unit on the table in perpetuity by launching Wii games at 50. I think they could have gotten 60 for those.
So Sean, do you see, with your service, is part of the reason why gamers are renting so many games because they feel that the price is too much for these games right now?
Well, I think, $60 is not a lot of money for a really good game.
Right.
$60 is a lot of money for a bad game. Sure. So without being able to really try before you buy, $60 is a big bet. Yeah. I think that's why Gamefly has been successful, is it allows people to try lots of games across all the systems for a very low, affordable price. And if they like it, they can buy it from us, or they can buy it at retail. But the point is they get to try the media before they make the purchase decision. I think that's really important.
Right, no, absolutely. I mean, gamers sometimes get burned because you buy a game and it's, and there's also debates about, is it long enough, or you have some games that are 6 hours to play and other ones are, 40, 50 hours to play, and you're still getting charged the same amount of money. I mean, Ed, from a publisher perspective, what do publishers say when, that obviously happy that you can charge a little bit more for games now, but is it a situation where publishers are, do the economics work at $60 to make these big, $20 million epic games?
Well, as Michael pointed out, the costs all around are going up. So the economics work at $60 if you have a hit game at $60.
Right.
They don't work if you don't have a failed game at $60. The concept of hit and miss hasn't changed, it's just that the barrier is higher in terms of the cost, and then the price has changed higher also. I would say from your mouth to God's ear about selling for $80 for the really good games. But I think from a publisher standpoint, our major concern would be, are we locking out a mainstream audience as we go for higher and higher games? Is it harder and harder for people to enter in when it's so expensive to play a game? So we're searching for ways that we can be economically provide games at a range of spectrums, and including at the high end for the really premium title.
Did you look at, Microsoft's talked about I think the Legendary Edition for, Halo 3 that's going to be, I think, $100 or something like that. I mean,
get it.
I mean, like something like Grand Theft Auto 4, I mean, could, Rockstar get away with charging $100 to play that game?
They could, but we're talking about a half a dozen games here.
Right.
In a given year, there's 400 or 500 titles released. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not a realistic business model to charge $70, $80 for every single game.
Would that
that's
hurt,
released.
though? Like Grand
So I
Theft
think
Auto?
it's other business models that need to come into play, whether it's
Right.
short-form games, episodic games, renting games. Other business models need to come into the game industry.
I think a consequence of higher costs, meaning you have to charge more, is that you're going to see less risk taking.
Right.
So, I think Sean said it right. A bad game can't carry the $60 price. Ed said it right. You're not going to make money on a game that isn't priced at 60 that sells too few units. So what you're going to see is publishers take fewer and fewer and fewer risks, which means more sequels.
Yeah.
And then I think gamers get cheated. So if they don't support the higher price point, even for bad games, I'm not suggesting you spend $60 on something you don't want to play. But if we don't see demand, what's going to happen is the supply of titles is going to shrink.
Yeah.
And we've seen that with movies. As movie costs have gone from $30 million on average to $60 million on average, and they have because we have to support Tom Cruise's $20 paycheck.
Right.
You're seeing fewer movies and more sequels.